Hello and welcome to Season 2 of the NGO Whisperer Show. My name is Carolyne Opinde. I am the founder of the NGO Whisperer. We are a consulting business that provides technical support to nonprofits so they can successfully impact people's lives. Joining us today is an amazing lady all the way from Texas, United States of America. Mistie Layne is the founder of #BeThatOne movement. She's also a host of a show that airs on Facebook and various social media platforms. The show is called Dare to Share with Mistie Layne. Above that, she's also a frontline healthcare worker helping to save lives during this time of COVID-19. And that's not it all. She wears many, many hats, and today she's going to share it all with us. Mistie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Carolyne.
It is such an honor. It is such a pleasure to finally have you on the NGO Whisperer show. Last year, we featured Mistie Layne when she was one of the top 5 winners of the Next Global Impactor. She has done amazing things in her life. Today, we're going to talk about a very important aspect of her work and to just look at her life and how she has transformed her life around from drug addiction and prison to a frontline healthcare worker saving lives of people during this COVID-19 pandemic, and also as a philanthropist. So, Mistie, to start us off, you were a former beauty queen.
Yes. Yes.
And because of some unwise choices in life, you found yourself in a place that was not pleasant, it wasn't pretty. As a drug addict, ended up in prison, and then you decided to turn your life around. Please share with us how that all happened.
I knew very early on I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a surgeon. I worked really hard to get into medical school. And right after I got in, I found out my husband of 10 years had gotten a woman pregnant. So adultery kind of like spun off from there. I blamed myself. I thought maybe I wasn't good enough. It was my fault. Ended up divorced. And after that, I went into a depression and started just making poor decisions. Started hanging around with the people that normally I wouldn't have hung around with, and it just catapulted from there into this horrific cocaine addiction. I tried it one time at 32 years old, a mother of 2, never done drugs in the past, and I became addicted almost instantly. And that started a 10-year journey of cocaine, which turned into a crack cocaine addiction. And I tried everything to stop. In and out of rehab, I prayed, I did everything I knew to do. What ended up saving my life was actually, I had a car wreck that killed someone else and took their life. And that time away in prison, it saved me because it allowed me to really rediscover who Mistie Layne was. I'd gone through domestic abuse, a really volatile situation, a hostage situation with that. That's the father of my son today. He's 20. That's his father. We don't really have contact, but I was stripped of everything. And when I sat in prison, I was forced to look at myself and forced to take accountability for my own actions and pay the consequences. And that's what through the writing journey is what I believe saved my life.
You've shared with us very intimate things that at some point you were not comfortable sharing with people. When one's life declines and they have to take a second look at themselves and they find themselves in prison and they have to ask themselves, from a beauty queen, and all the desires and the dreams that you had to be a doctor, to save people's lives, you find yourself in prison. And then now you have to think about your life. Tell us how writing helped you deal with your emotions and the depression that you are going through as you are looking through your life to find out who Mistie Layne is?
When I went to prison, the car wreck was an accident, but I was charged with vehicular homicide, which carried a 40-year prison sentence. And I thought my life was over. I thought my life with my kids was over. I thought my dream of being a surgeon was over. I thought everything was over. And on top of that, Carolyne, I really didn't know if I wanted to exist. I didn't know how to exist without cocaine in my system. I didn't know who I was, like I said before, who I even was anymore. And every breath I took, because I had taken someone else's life, I felt guilty for. So it was a really, really rough go for me. Upon my 18-year-old daughter's advice, I started writing down all the things that I was ashamed of, all the things that haunted me when I laid down at night, all the things that I didn't want to tell anyone, all those deep, dark secrets. I just wrote them on a list for myself, for my eyes only. I prayed over them and I let it go. And what that did is it released a lot of the toxicity from me and lowered that wall of shame just enough that I could see inside my soul. And I knew that I had pain that I had never resolved, I'd never addressed. Grief from abortions during my addiction that I'd never grieved, I'd never had gotten closure over. I just suppressed it with food or with the drug. So that's what sparked me writing my life stories. I just sat down at a table. I had to buy the paper and buy the pens because I was in jail. And I started writing, and it all just came out of me, and it wasn't pretty. I want to say it was emotional vomit because that's what it was. It wasn't anything that anyone would probably get anything from because it was dark. It was full of anger. It was full of blame. It wasn't until years later when I finally decided and got the courage to release the book that I rewrote it out of a place of forgiveness and accountability. Then that's how it can help people. So writing definitely is what allowed me to start doing the therapy that I needed on those pain points that I had hidden and suppressed for so long.
Writing helped you to take out what was in your chest, share it fast with yourself because you are finding who you are. You know, all the things that you had suppressed came out. You looked at it, and then you rewrote the book. In the article that you are featured in the October-December issue 2019 of the NGO Whisperer magazine, you elaborately explained how all these things came to place one after another. And I know there is an incident in your family that happened that made you become even stronger at telling your story and not to be ashamed. Please share with us.
That's really tough. My grandbaby was born after, first of all, I didn't get the 40 years. I was very blessed. I only got a reduced negligent homicide charge of 5 years. So I did 2.5 years of actual prison time and came home, rebuilt my life. 9 years fast forward, that same daughter, my oldest daughter, Lauren, had told me she was pregnant with my first grandbaby. And she was due on the same exact day, 9 years later, as the day the wreck had happened on September the 18th. So in my mind, I'm thinking God is just replacing this life I thought I had stolen and replacing it, you know, keeping everything going, keeping everything constant. And then Eliana was born. She was stuck in the birth canal and had an oxygen deprivation. So she was born with a severe brain injury, which left her blind and deaf. She couldn't suck or cry. She had a lot of issues, respiratory. She had a feeding tube, and I couldn't connect with her. I would hold her and I would love her and I would be there, but I never felt that true connection. And then I realized it was because I felt as if her injury was my fault because the date was the same, that couldn't have been a coincidence, that it must be my punishment for all the wrong I had done. And then at that moment, I realized that my past was still robbing me. It was even robbing me of my future. And so I made a decision. That's when I decided I have to come out with my story. And because there has to be other people out there that are letting their past, their shame of their past, prevent them from living their life today. So that's when I rewrote the book. Book is what goes up. That's when I rewrote it, like I said, out of forgiveness and accountability. and decided that I was strong. They told me in rehab only 3% of us would ever make it through addiction, and I realized I was standing there 9 years sober, a 3%er, and that I had strength and that I had been carried through that for a reason, and that I should not waste that pain, and I needed to use it to help other people. And that's when it all began. That's when I decided to come out with my story, to stop hiding behind the shame. And I learned that through giving back, it lifted me up. It made me more confident. It made me feel more self-worth, because there's always people around us, Caroline, that are a little worse off than we are. And all we have to do is reach out our hand and just get them to our level, just get them to where we are. And in doing that, like I said, I found self-worth again. And it was just the most rewarding thing for me. So Eliana was definitely the catalyst that got me to move forward. And this past January, she passed away. My daughter and son-in-law had to make a decision to let her go, take her off of all her meds. So she actually died in my daughter's arms. So it's tough. But I live for her. And I'll be starting my own nonprofit soon around her too. It'll be called the Hummingbird Foundation, because when she was born, she was on a machine and made her chest flutter very fast like hummingbird wings. So we called her our hummingbird. And every time Eliana would get sick or go in the hospital, people on social media would flood our walls with hummingbird pictures and send presents and gifts of hummingbirds. So she became known as our little hummingbird. So when my grandbaby passed, my daughter and son didn't have anyone that had been through that as a parent before. They had hospice to talk to them and tell them what to expect, but those people hadn't gone through that, what they had to do. And so my daughter and I have decided that there's a need for that in the world. There's a space where parents that have to transition their child, they need other parents that have been through it to show them that they can live through it. So that's going to be what the Hummingbird Foundation will be about.
It is a beautiful, beautiful tribute in honor of Eliane, who I also got to watch on social media whenever you would post videos of her, whether it was when you were just singing or talking to her, and you would see some reactions here and there to let people know that she actually somehow understood that you are around her and that you love her. And our deepest condolences. And even as you heal through this process, we believe that the Hummingbird Foundation is going to bring hope to many families. I know even before you established that Hummingbird Foundation, that there is amazing thing that you're doing right now as we speak with hashtag Be That One movement. Share with us what it is that you do with that and how you are impacting lives of people.
Hashtag Be That One is a movement where I encourage people to step up and be that one, to share their raw, authentic truth about their life experiences. I ask them to do that because I believe that through education, informing people, making us aware of all the different adversities in life, that we can learn to judge less and mentor more. My Dare to Share with Mistie Layne show is a platform that allows people that find the courage to step up to be that one, to be able to do it. So that's how that works together. And I believe transparency is a game changer. I think it's going to change the world. I tell people, imagine a world, Caroline, where a teenage girl that's pregnant can come home to her parents and be transparent and tell them she's pregnant and not be judged or ridiculed, but instead be welcomed with open arms, and you know, their parents can talk to them about it and help them make the best decision instead of her hiding and running to an abortion clinic. You know, I think transparency is just going to change everything. We've been so wrapped up, and this goes back to me in my beauty pageant days. I mean, we always had a look we had to uphold to. We always had to be a certain way, and I think that that's a lot of pressure that we put on ourselves. I'm just tired of that. I want us to know in life that we're real people. We can be who we are with imperfection, because perfectionism was huge for me And I've had to learn to accept my flaws and love myself as I am. So I think transparency will allow us to do that.
Thank you so much for sharing all these amazing things. And our audience would like to know, how can they be part of this hashtag Be That One movement?
On my Facebook page, Mistie Layne, MISTIELAYNE, there is a group, a private group called hashtag Be That One. Join the group. If you want to be a guest on my show and discover your own transparency, you can email me at mistielayne@mistielayne.com and just type the word guest in the subject line and I'll be in touch with you.
I wanted to ask you to share with our audience how important it is to be transparent with whatever it is you're going through, whether it's domestic violence in your home, bullying and harassment in your place of work, issues that you may face because of COVID-19. Most people have lost their jobs and they cannot put food on the table, and therefore loss of income is something that some people might be very ashamed of, because for once they feel they are not independent anymore. Share with us how transparency is a useful tool to liberate people from any entanglement or any issues that you may feel is weighing heavy on your shoulders.
Well, like I said, I believe transparency is freedom. It allows us to be who we are in the space where we are at the time we're at it. And a good example is that, for instance, I'm the vice president on the board for Chemo Buddies for Life, which is a nonprofit. And we talk to the community, which is an immunosuppressed community. During this COVID time, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of anger. A lot of testing's been put off. Cancer, people that are waiting to get a diagnosis of cancer can't go in to get the testing they need because things are shut down. But at the same time, we encourage them to be transparent, because if you let that anger sit inside, it will fester. It'll make you more sick. If you don't let your loved ones know, like for instance, a lot of people with cancer won't even admit to their family they have it. They want to do it in secret. They want to do it solo. It's important for us to be transparent because others are going to notice a change in us, and we don't want them to have to fill in the blanks in between the lines and read it. They need to know the truth so that they can support us. If we've lost our job, sometimes a lot of us, out of pride, won't say we need help financially, but by being transparent and being who you are, because everyone's going through it with this COVID right now. Not one person's isolated from it. We're all going through and feeling the financial disrupt in the world right now. So being transparent will allow you to get the help that you need and not have to feel that not be so prideful, because it's not a shameful thing to need help at some point in your life. Get the help you need and move on, and then offer help to someone else because you were helped. That's the way the world goes. You help the ones that need it when they need it, and then when you're at the place to help someone, you make sure you do that.
Thank you. That's beautiful. What message do you have for any man, woman, boy or girl who has been incarcerated and is out of jail and is looking to reintegrate into the society? You yourself went back to school and you are a healthcare worker right now, and you have a job, a great job. You have all these amazing things that you're doing in the community as a philanthropist. How can they reintegrate back into the society?
Well, first, let me just say I had already gotten my nuclear medicine degree prior to going to medical school. I did not return to school and become an MD. I am not a doctor, but I do still have my nuclear medicine license. But my advice, and I had a hard time because of many felonies on my record. Hospitals didn't want to hire me because the background checks, I couldn't pass them. So my advice is, number one, to be accountable. When you go into an interview, 100% honesty straight up off the bat. And not on top of that, alongside of that, you have to be accountable. yes, I did these things and it looks horrible on paper, but I'm not that person today. I'm trying to make amends. I'm trying to get a fresh start. Will you be willing to be that one and give me the chance? And then not get anything else on your record. That's another thing. You can't keep doing bad and expect people to give you a chance. You've got to straighten your life out. And then also on top of that, you have to be patient, because it takes, at least for me in the medical field, it took 7 years before a hospital would not see, look at that felony or several felonies. So be patient, do what you can to bide your time while you're not getting more charges, while you are living a productive life. Use that time to give back, to help others, and it'll come to you. Just be patient, be honest, and be accountable.
One more advice that I would like you to share from your perspective is to anyone who has ever been addicted or who is struggling with addiction. What message do you have for them?
I don't have the magic wand. I can't tell anyone how to fix it because I couldn't fix myself. But what I can tell you is this: your addiction is covering pain up. There's pain inside of you. There's a hole, there's a void that you are using that drug, that gambling, that sex, that food, whatever it is, to hide and cover. So it is your job to find out what it is and fix it. And the way you do that is you seek professional therapy, you use writing, because you might not even know. There were things, Caroline, that when I started writing that came out that I didn't even know had happened to me as a child, that came out because I'd suppressed it. So use the writing as your tool. It's a very powerful tool. Just journal to yourself and start writing, and you'll see things will come out. And when they do, give yourself the space and the time to either grieve it, get help for it, or get closure with it. That's my advice.
Thank you so much, Mistie. There is a lot that we can learn from you. There is a lot that you are giving back to the world, whether it's through the work that you do every day, through your job as a frontline healthcare worker, or through #BeThatOne movement, as well as on your show, which is Dare to Share show with Mistie Layne. You're doing amazing things. Also, as a board member to Chemo Buddies for Life, and we actually interviewed the founder of Chemo Buddies for Life on the NGO Whisperer show, Tamara L. Hunter. We have her recording on our YouTube channel. So for anyone who wants to know the work that Mistie Layne is doing to support Chemo Buddies for Life, you go right there and watch it and learn about how they support people who are living with cancer. It's really an honor and a pleasure to have you. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you, Caroline. Could I just mention one other thing? If anyone's interested, because I think that this is where true work is going to be done, is I'm starting the Right to Ignite Women's Empowerment Retreats, which is going to be a very intimate 3.5-day meeting, a physical meeting where women come together, share their bonds, share their experiences authentically, take the masks off. We're going to do some ugly crying around a campfire, just kind of letting our emotions out. There will be before and after photography, art therapy, energy work. So that is something I think that is necessary, because oftentimes females, we feel we can't be ourselves with each other because we're always in competition. So I feel that when we can come together in a space of authenticity, we form those lasting, permanent, authentic bonds with each other. Because when you share your inside with another woman, honestly, like that, you make a bond. You can't deny the bond that you make, and you see each other for your real value. So I think that's going to be very beneficial, and it's called Right to Ignite.
Right to Ignite retreats. When do you perceive you would have this? I believe this will be post-COVID-19, when people can travel. Share with us where they can find the details of updates when they come up.
On my website, which is mistielayne.com, or through my social media, I'll be putting updates out there. But I'm targeting the first quarter of next year as for the physical meeting, because you'll have to travel, and it is the in contact bonding. So I'm targeting probably March of next year.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Mistie Layne, the amazing, amazing Mistie Layne, founder of Be That One movement, host of Dare to Share show with Mistie Layne, and soon to be founder of the Hummingbird Foundation in honor and in memory of Eliana, granddaughter who passed away early this year. Ladies and gentlemen, it is amazing to see how one can turn their life around and make an impact at the same time. Thank you so much, Mistie, for the amazing work you do in impacting people's lives.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the end of our show, we invite you to subscribe, like, and comment on our YouTube channel and also on our social media platforms on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and many others. We thank you so much for everything and the support that you have continued to give us throughout this COVID-19 pandemic period. And as we come closer to the end of season 2, we invite you to connect with us and let us know who you would like to have on our show. It's all about connecting people, raising funds, and impacting lives.